Hey, I'm Kevin Sorbo, and you better watch the Red Booth Show. You better. I mean, come on, look who you got, for crying out loud.
Hi guys, I'm Chelsea Hightower from Dancing with the Stars, and you're watching The Red Booth Show.
We're Van Lady Love.
And we're in Sundance.
Watch The Red Booth Show. Red Booth Show.
Red Booth Show.
Hi, my name is Eva Vivas, and I'm a filmmaker at Sundance. You should watch The Red Booth Show.
Hi, watch The Red Booth Show.
Hi, watch the Red Booth Show.
We're the Personas crew, and you're watching The Red Booth.
Hey guys, I'm Lee Listener here at Studio Lounge. Watch The Red Booth Show. It's awesome.
Hi, I'm Jose Valle, Director of Investigations at Animal Equality. Watch The Red Booth Show.
I really wanted to put a deck on my house.
The floor was creaking and there were cracks in the wall.
I had them put in walls in my basement.
Well, the whole thing was done on time, on budget, and not a day of work was missed.
Alpha Structural is a top-rate company. I'd recommend them to anybody.
If you live in a hillside home and gravity is pulling you towards the edge of the cliff, I recommend you call Alpha.
It was a real pleasure to work with Alpha.
It's a great practice, and the reason for that is the people. I'm very into service and making sure that people are happy with what they receive because there's so many choices in dentistry. We try to practice the golden rule dentistry, which basically means that we treat every patient as if we were the actual patient ourselves. People are nervous to come to the dentist. There's pain involved, and they probably had a bad experience. My staff and myself are very passionate about people, and we love taking care of people and changing their mindset about oral health and maintaining that healthiness.
Hi, welcome to the Red Booth Show. On tonight's episode, I have John Goodwin. He's the president of Galaxy Press, and he's also here to talk about the Writers of the Future contest coming up. So come and join us.
Science fiction has always been a dreamer's medium. Science fiction writers have a magical ability to time travel.
Events like this give us very important reasons to continue.
The Writers' Contest and the Illustrators' Contest running simultaneously build a creative synergy.
There's always the temptation to write what's popular, but for Writers of the Future, we're not asked to write what's popular. We're asked to create something new.
You dream about this kind of thing when you're hoping to be a writer someday.
There are a lot of noble projects. This one produces good writers.
The exciting, disruptive, new, challenging voices. Thousands of published short stories and hundreds of published novels come out of the winners of this contest.
It's changed everything.
Hello, John. How are you?
I'm doing great, Kimberly. Thanks for having me back on.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited to have you on the show again. I think you were on the show in 2014, right?
That's right.
That's really cool. And you have another Writers of the Future event coming up.
That's right. Now we're ready for the 32nd annual Writers of the Future Awards ceremony. Again, taking place April 10th at the Wilshire Ebell Theater.
Which is an amazing theater.
Yeah, I think it's one of the oldest theaters in Los Angeles. So this time, it's a bit of a different event that we've got planned, because the cover art that we've got for this, which I think we're going to be showing on a slate, but because the cover we've got for this is steampunk theme.
Oh, okay.
We've never done that before.
That's right. Now, I heard that it's black tie attire or steampunk attire.
That's right.
Right.
And we've got some of the biggest steampunk cosplayers is the term that's being used. It's for costume players. So some of the biggest steampunk cosplayers will be participating in the event, including the Star Wars steampunk team that goes a lot of stuff for Lucasfilms. So they're going to be there, and we've got some really great steampunk contraptions that are going to be there that people can participate and get their photos taken with.
That's amazing. Now, I remember last time I went to the Writers of the Future Awards, there was actually all sorts of steampunk sort of imagery and set design and everything. It sort of goes with the stories, along with science fiction and fantasy stories.
Correct. This time, because it's the 25th anniversary of one of our first winners, Sergei Poryakov, who is from the Ukraine, and he won literally a few months after the Iron Curtain went down. So this is the 25th anniversary. He does that form of art. So his is cover art for this year's issue. So the whole thing is expanded into steampunk. So what's really good about it is that since he became a winner and a judge, we've had so many entrants from over there and throughout Europe that it's made truly an international contest, where now we have nearly 170 countries where we get entries from for both the writers and illustrators contest.
170. That's a lot.
It's a whole lot.
Yeah.
And
they all fly in, and people come from all over.
We fly them, actually.
Yeah.
Just as a quick overview on how the contest works.
Mm-hmm.
In 1983, Elmer Hubbard created the contest as a means of providing an opportunity for the aspiring artists to have their work seen and acknowledged.
Right, and this is for unpublished authors.
Unpublished.
So if you don't have a book that's already been published, you can qualify for this contest.
Exactly. So based upon the success of the contest, which at the time the various judges that participated in it thought it was a great idea, but the way of contest didn't always survive more than a couple of years. Obviously, that's not the way this contest went. Now we're in the 32nd year. But based on the success of the contest, after the 5th year, we started the Illustrator Contest. And so now we have the R. Hubbard Presents Writers of the Future and Illustrators of the Future.
Right.
And the whole thing now, we're almost up to 800 winners from all over the world now that have won the contest and been acknowledged on stage. So this year, with the advent of our steampunk look to it, it just expands more and more the reach that we can provide to the aspiring writer and artist, that they can then make that break and have that opportunity. Because not only do the winners, if they want to carry on with a career in writing or illustration, when they say they're winning this contest, basically have the doors open for them. It's so popular now and so proven as a contest that the finalists also put that on their resumes,
right,
and then get their work taken out of the slush piles and read by the editors.
Right, because so many of the winners have gone on to have major publishing deals and things, which is really exciting.
For sure.
I know you guys are also going to have some really interesting speakers too. I think one of them is going to be in the Mars trip, right? It's like the Mars 100 or something.
So we have Kelly Girardi as our speaker. She's one of the, right now, they're working out how to get who's going to be going to Mars. Within 10 years, you want to have a team that goes to Mars where people actually will live on Mars.
Right, in 2025, right? That's when Elon Musk's whole campaign is going.
Right.
Is planning on going, and they have 100 people that they've chosen out of all of the Earthlings.
Right, so she's been in the whole competition. So she's in the final batch as they're counting down. Like I said, her name is Kelly Girardi. She's a member of the Explorers Club. She's an amazing person. She'll be actually one of our speakers, like you said, at the Writers of the Future event, talking about obviously living your dreams, which is also the theme of the contest.
Right.
And again, going back to the winners, it's really even more amazing now than when it was when the contest started over 30 years ago, because as appropriations get cut into art programs throughout school systems, the actual venues for aspiring writers and artists to be able to explore and to present their stuff is getting harder and harder to accomplish. So with this contest, it really makes that, and what makes it really good with this contest is that the writer and the artist maintains full rights to the works. There's no entry fee. We have it set now so you can do online entries for both the art as well as the writing.
So they just have to go to the website if they want to submit. And what's the deadline for the contest, by the way?
Okay, so it's a yearly contest. It's broken into 4 quarters, and
Okay.
once a quarter's done, it rolls over to the next quarter.
Okay.
So it starts October 1st and goes to December 31st, and then it goes January 1st to the end of March, April to the end of June, all the way throughout that year. And then once September 30th finishes, then it starts the new year. So now we're into the 33rd year as the contest continues to go on.
So you have 4 quarters, and then all the winners from those quarters are then in the final contest?
They'll be in the final contest. So you've
Okay.
got, because each year there's a grand prize winner for the writers and grand prize winner for the illustrators.
Okay.
And those are chosen.
Which are amazing, by the way. Like, it will blow your mind if you go and see the artwork. I can't even believe
It's amazing with
the
these-
artwork. I don't know
with
how
these-
they even choose, like, a winner.
Well, what we
honestly.
have, the way it actually works is you have the top writers and top artists in the genre are the judges.
Like, who is going to be the judge this year?
Well, we've got all the various judges, but for the writers, Orson Scott Card, you had him on your show.
That's right. He was great.
Yeah, Kevin Anderson is, he's one of the ones that writes the Dune series. So he's one of the judges.
Okay, sorry. I'm a huge fan of Dune. Okay.
Yeah. Dave Farland or Dave Wolverton, he was actually a winner in the second year, and he's now a contest coordinating judge, and he's obviously a very famous fantasy writer. He's written in the Star Wars universe. We got Robert Sawyer up in Canada, who's the Dean of Science Fiction in Canada. He's one of the judges. Sean Williams, who's the main science fiction writer from Australia. He's one of our judges. He was a winner about 30 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So it goes on with a lot of them when they've won the contest. They themselves will be able to pay it forward, so they themselves have become judges. Pat Rothfuss is not a judge, but he was a winner about 10 years ago, and he's got a series called Name of the Wind that's been very, very successful. And like he said in his introduction to his first book, if it wasn't for Rise of the Future, I can guarantee I wouldn't be where I am today.
Yeah.
So the thing about the contest, as I was saying, it's like you've got, there's no entry fee, and the judging is anonymous. So what happens is when the entry comes into the contest administrator, a number is assigned to. So all the judges see is the artwork or the story and a number.
Oh,
so
they
you don't
don't
know
know-
if it's male,
Right.
female, ethnicity, country, anything. It's just
Amazing.
strictly by the merit of the story or the art that a person wins. And now if it comes back from the judges, number 67, 359, 2,464 are the winners. Then we know who they are, where they are, and we make the phone calls letting them know if they won the contest. It's really, really exciting.
That's really cool. I know, because you've had some very wild, different types of winners.
Sure.
Really young winners.
Mhm.
And even really old, like, housewife winners and, like, all sorts of stuff,
Sure.
right?
We've had doctors. We had, some years ago, we had a medical doctor who tried to become a writer as a youth, failed miserably at it, so became a doctor, a medical doctor. And you could tell he was a doctor from his story that he entered. So he handled the emergency room in Chicago on the swing shift at night. So he gets all kinds of
all
stuff.
the bad stuff.
So he was like 60 or so when he ran into the contest and won. And so we just have, anybody is open to be able to enter the contest. The main thing on it is the importance of the arts. And again, I'll go back to the contest creator, Orson Hubbard, that the future is, he sees that really much as the herald of possibility through science fiction, that because it sets the pace of like, what about this and what about that? And so a lot of what you see right now in science was science fiction previously.
The possibilities of imagination. And
That's right, and that's the whole it is. So with that herald of possibility, you've got these artists that will conceptualize it, but that's why we have people like Kelly Girardi. We've had directors of NASA. We've had astronauts as our keynote speakers at our events, and they do that because their inspiration came from science fiction. And the golden age of science fiction, which is everybody, you see it a lot right now in Hollywood, celebrates that constantly with the science fiction movies. A lot of that, the storylines are from that golden age time period where it was fresh and alive, and we're going to space, we're going to do this and do that. And that's where you had the authors like Heinlein and Hubbard and Asimov. They were all conceiving different things. And a lot of the science fiction writers, their day job was a rocket scientist. These were the guys that were working on doing that then had that dreams and translated that. And the goal was, and this is actually an interesting fact, after World War II, Korea started to escalate. And so several science fiction writers met in Heinlein's home in Los Angeles, and they wanted to conceive of a space race. And they wanted to, because they had the ear of the politicians. And so they conceived of, stories going to Mars, going to Moon, going to Alpha Centauri, but basically taking our aggression right now, instead of man fighting man, let's fight the unknown elements out there in space. And so that's what basically created the space race.
Right, to help unify people, I think. I could totally see how that would...
And it happened for a while. You had the United States and Russia and China. Everybody was, for a certain period of time, was moving forward to go into space. Russia won that race with Sputnik, but then we were right behind it. We then won the race going to the moon. Unfortunately, that kind of like...
died down
a bit. But now the privatization of space flight is taken into a whole new range now, and that's it's interesting. Again, that's something that was prophesied by those writers of the Golden Age. Again, referring to, because I'm the publisher of all of L. Ron Hubbard's fiction books, so I happen to know them quite well.
Right, you're the president of Galaxy Press, which is all of the fiction works,
right?
Not
Westerns,
just...
mystery, science fiction,
and
fantasy.
actually, I just wanted to clarify. A lot of people think that all he mostly write was science fiction, but it's actually a very small percentage.
Yeah, science fiction was actually a smaller part. It was the last genre he was actually in, and then he came back again and wrote Battlefield Earth and Mission Earth to celebrate 50 years. But he started off, he was an adventure writer, and that's actually what brought him into science fiction, because prior to what now is known as the Golden Age, science fiction was
all
the
the
ray
pulps and everything.
Yeah, the
like
pulp
all the
fiction.
Pulp fiction.
This was, science fiction was the ray guns and robots, and it wasn't very personalized. And so there were a few writers that were brought in by the publisher then called Street and Smith to help rework a new publication called Astounding Science Fiction.
Right.
And so with Astounding, with the new
I
editor,
just think of that like girl on the Astounding poster, with the like
with
alien.
the green.
Yes,
the green. That's awesome.
right. I love that poster.
You just look just like her.
Thank you.
So with that whole thing on bringing people into science fiction, that's what later became referred to as the Golden Age of science fiction. And there was a series called The Conquest of Space that L. Ron Hubbard wrote. It's a series, I think, 7 or 8 different stories. But it basically established the fact that it was a privatization of space flight that made it possible. And so the series...
Do you think it's because, think of the DMV trying to go to space, with the government trying to go to space? Why do you think they stopped the whole NASA program?
Well, there's a couple things you got with government. It's unfortunately a lot of the control factor is arms, and so a lot of the purpose of space stuff would be arms.
Okay.
So
satellites that are gonna.
Sure. And that was even one of the stories that Hubbard wrote called 240,000 Miles Straight Up, which is the moon. But a lot of the stuff became. It's because of man's enterprise and his desire to make a profit, capitalism, the desire to make a profit, to explore and see what we can do and learn, all the basic inquisition of man, which isn't hampered by governmental control, because then you've got some strong, dynamic individual, like what you talk about,
like
Elon Musk. Like Elon Musk.
I love you, Elon Musk. Hi. Just have to say that. He's amazing.
Yeah. In fact, I just met him and spoke to him at the Star Wars premiere.
Nice.
That happened in December afterwards. Yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic.
But the whole thing on it is that, again, it's that heralded possibility that you've got with science fiction. It happened then, and it still happens now. And so by constantly putting attention on a brighter and better future, then you can pull mankind forward. And so that's what you've got happening right now, I think, with this contest, enabling that outlet to be kept alive, because it's really hard otherwise.
That's fantastic. And especially now, nowadays people are writing online and, everything's on the internet and stuff. So writing books is still something that's sort of shrinking in a way in terms of like avenues for
the avenues for somebody to get published or discovered. Correct. There's still a lot of books being written. A lot of them are worth reading. A lot of them, because those avenues have been shrinking down. The actual the vetting process to really make sure the good stuff surfaces is harder, and you get like. You have your exceptions to the rules. Something will happen as an independent, someone that self-publishes and all of a sudden makes it really big. And you're like, oh, look, if they did it, but that's one out of 500,000, So people, you don't hear about the other 499,999 that didn't make it.
Yeah.
So like The Martian, that's a case in point. But with, again, this contest, and I'm really talking to anybody else that's an aspiring writer or artist, do check it out at writersofthefuture.com, because there is no entry fee. It's open to anyone, and the purpose is set, like I said, by Mr. Hubbard, was to provide that avenue for you to be discovered. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, which is what's really good about it. And that's why you got all these top writers of science fiction artists that's supporting it, because there's no strings attached. It's just, we want you to survive. We want you to make it as that form of art, because the value to society, the whole value of an artist is like, they set basically the tone or the mood for society,
Right.
So we need artists to be able to make it. And, a lot of our winners go on to working with major movie studios. They do set designs.
Do you have any good examples you could give us of some of those?
Well, our guy this year, that's the cover artist, Sergei Poyarkov.
Uh-huh.
So he won. He just came from, this was when USSR, and when he came, and if you heard any of the horror stories, what it was like in USSR, he was living proof of, people had no money. It was just totally, everything went to the state. So we loaned him his tie, loaned him his jacket, but he was a grand prize winner and took his $5,000
Wow.
and invested. So then he ended up with studio in New York, in London. He built a castle recently at home, in his home in Kiev.
Yeah.
He's got, I think he's published 6 books, incredibly successful. Sean Tan won an Oscar, I think, 4 years ago. He was here in Hollywood receiving his Oscar for his short animation. But when he came out and when he was a winner of the contest,
which was before he won the Oscar, right?
Yes. He was delighted to find other people were like him who loved illustrating science fiction and fantasy.
Yeah.
So there are definitely very good examples from both the writers and the artists. But I said that the invitation is for anybody to enter the contest. It's open to everybody. And there's not somebody, there is one thing that every judge will promise.
Mm-hmm.
You will absolutely not win if you don't enter.
That's good. Okay, now why don't we tell everybody when the event is, because anybody can go. There's a whole red carpet and there's the whole ceremony for the awards, and let them know when and where, and then we'll hope to see you guys there.
Good. Yeah. So it's April 10th. It's at the Wilshire Ebell Theater, and the way you can attend is you just go to writersofthefuture.com, and there's a little online form you can fill out to RSVP. We'll put you on the list, and you're welcome to come. But you need RSVP in order to be able to attend. It holds only 1,200 people, so we want to make sure that if you want to come, that you can actually make it in there.
Okay, good. Well, I'll be there, and I am so happy to have you on the show, and I hope that everybody gets to check out some of the amazing stories from the Writers of the Future.
And if you haven't done so yet, I do recommend, because I'm the publisher, you get your copy of John Hubbard Presents Writers of the Future Volume 31, which is available right now. You can get it at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or in any place where you buy books, and check it out, because you see what amazing stories that there are there.
Right, and that's the compilation of all the winners. Basically,
That's right.
They're all in that book. That's all that book is, so you can read some science fiction and have fun.
That's right.
Okay, great. Thanks so much for coming on the show, John.
Thank you very much, Kimberly.
And follow us on Twitter at /The Red Booth Show. Follow us on Facebook at The Red Booth. And also on Instagram at The Red Booth. And then you can also check out your social media for the Writers of the Future. I think it's Writers of the Future on Instagram.
And on Facebook and on Twitter.
Okay, so that's pretty simple.